Hey, it's Wednesday. Time for another Action Figure Adventures video here on SEO Tour Review. Today, Baby Skeletor and I are taking a look at two G.I. Joe Collectors Club exclusive action figures. We've got the long-range Recon Patrol Trooper Recoil and Cobra Bat Leader Overkill. Pause it here for Recoil's bio, and here for Overkill. Here we have the two figures out of the package. We're going to start by taking a look at Overkill. So Overkill was the leader of the Bats, the Battle Android Troopers, which when that figure came out was one of the coolest G.I. Joe army builders ever. Then they came up with the Overkill figure, who was part of the Talking Commandos line. He had a giant clunky backpack that played terrible sound effects. But I really liked him as a kid. He was very cool looking, very robotic and weird. But then in the modern, not modern era, but the new sculpt era, with Venom vs. Valor and Spy Troops and things like that, we got an updated version that seemed much more human. It still featured the swappable hand gimmick, but I never liked it as much. This figure is a tribute to that figure, and we're going to take a look at all his crazy accessories here. The version of Overkill that inspires this figure originally had a missing hand, and you could attach a gun or you could attach a knife accessory there. This one comes with a giant gauntlet piece here. He's got a gun that he can hold, kind of interesting looking weapon. Reminds me of the Predator's gun that shoots the three different laser dots out of it, you know. He also comes with these crazy claws that can snap on over his hands, which remind me of Terror Claw Skeletor from Masters of the Universe. These have nothing to do with the original version of Overkill or the version that inspired this one, but they're kind of cool looking anyway. And he also comes with a little tiny red gun that they refer to as a rivet gun. So maybe this is for him assembling bats or fixing himself. Not really sure, but he's got that little red gun there. He's got too many accessories to be able to attach to himself. He doesn't really have holsters for any of this stuff. But they're all kind of fun. I'd rather have a figure with a bunch of accessories than not enough. So this guy looks very humanoid. But he does have a special feature here. He's got this handkerchief piece. He's got a helmet, which is removable. And when you remove the helmet, then you can see that actually he has a face. This is actually just a faceplate, a humanoid mask. It's really tricky to get it out from in there. But then he's got this crazy robotic skull underneath, which is definitely a lot cooler, but makes him look less like the figure that he's based on. I think when it comes to part choices for this figure, they did a great job of finding really cool mechanical parts. This is obviously from Rise of Cobra, the mech suits. I think that may be where a lot of these body parts came from, with these shoulder pads. But they're all very mechanical, which looks really cool and gives him a nice aesthetic for being an android character. Overkill has articulation at the head. He's got a ball joint there. Of course, the little scarf piece does kind of hinder that movement a little bit, but you can get his face to move around. It does move up and down, but again, all the loose pieces with the mask and the helmet make that a little bit tricky. He's got good articulation at the shoulders. His shoulder pads do interfere some with his movement, because he's got the rubberized shoulder pads as well as the ones built into his arms. He's got nice range of motion with his twists and swivels at the elbows there. He's got a wrist articulation that rotates. Does not appear to have any other kind of joints in his wrists. He's got a swivel at the chest there. It's nice how it's kind of hidden, that articulation point, by his belt and straps. He's got great G.I. Joe hip joints, double jointed knees, and rockers at his ankles. I really like the robotic look of this guy. I think he turned out great. He's got tons of awesome accessories with his gauntlet piece, this machine gun, the rivet gun, as well as his claws that can be added on if you want to use them for like hand-to-hand combat. I think it's pretty cool. Definitely not one of the figures I was dying to get out of this set, but I think the execution was pretty good on him. And of course he has his Overkill stand. Next up, we've got Recoil, long-range Recon Patrol Trooper, based on a classic G.I. Joe figure, modernized here. Most of the parts they used are pretty good. The only thing I really am not super happy with is I wish he had more of a baseball cap style hat versus this helmet. Just something about him not having the brim just kind of bugs me. Here we are taking a closer look at the figure. You can see he's got this rock climbing looking helmet. It does come off pretty easy. I'm glad they included the sunglasses on this figure to make him look like the vintage one as much as possible. It's a decent head. The helmet isn't bad, and maybe makes more sense for combat, really, than the hat that the original figure wore. But, you know, when you're doing homage figures, it's nice when they pay as much homage as possible. He's got a cool digital camo print on his uniform, which, again, is great for that vintage figure, which had the early digital camo. He's got a nice tactical vest on, and he has a holster on his leg here with a pistol included. He's got gloves and boots and just a nice paint scheme. Even little details on his outfit are painted in nicely. I think the paintwork on this figure is excellent. In addition to his helmet, his vest, and his pistol, Recoil comes with a machine gun. Thank God it's not in baby blue this time like the original. He comes with this wacky pistol thing, which I always hated. I never understood what the deal was with this thing. Is this lower part a shotgun, or, you know, what is that thing? Why does this look like this? I never understood this gun as a kid. He comes with his mine case, which is pretty cool for setting traps. And then he comes with Lieutenant Falcon's backpack. This is a good substitute for Recoil if they weren't going to retool his backpack because it has the radio antenna, which is kind of the defining feature of his backpack. And this backpack's really nice. It's got painted in rope. It's got the knife that sheathes on the side. This is actually able to open up and the whole radio comes out, which is really cool of this modern version compared to the vintage toy. You know, like I said, this is definitely Falcon's backpack, but everybody as a kid always talked about how Falcon and Recoil had the antenna backpack, so it just totally makes sense if you got to use one, reuse one, to just give it to him. He looks great with all his equipment. He can't hold everything. You know, he's got too much stuff. So because I don't really like that pistol thing, I'm going to arm him up with the gun and the mine case. And the shotgun can just go sit somewhere else. He does come with a stand with his name Recoil on it there. And let's take a look at his articulation while we're here. He's got a nice ball joint at the head. It moves around pretty well. The helmet's kind of loose, so that moves when I'm trying to move his head. He doesn't have a great range of motion up and down so much, but, you know, it swivels around really nicely. Excellent arm articulation. Nothing gets in the way of that with the shoulders. Elbows move nicely, as well as the wrists. He does have a swivel there at the wrist, which is nice. He's got an articulation point in his torso. Great hip joint rotation there. Double jointed knees. Ankle articulation. That's pretty nice as well. So all around a nice figure. Overall, I think these guys are both pretty cool. If I was only going to order one of them, I would have picked Recoil because he's based on his version 1 figure. Overkill being based on a new Sculpt era figure that I'm a little less interested in recollecting modern versions of. Both of them are well executed, both have decent paint apps, and both have nice accessories. So I can't complain too much. If I was going to get one tweak out of the pair, I would change Recoil's helmet. Thanks for watching this Action Figure Adventures video. Do Baby Skeletor a favor, hit that like and subscribe button. He's not here for some reason today.